The whole thing vibrates when I play it. Bring the bare necessities of life wherever. Hello, and thank you so much for joining me today for this special double review of these two beautiful vintage replica Ohana ukuleles. I was really excited to receive these in the mail. This is not a sponsored video, and yes, so thank you so much, Ohana, for sending me these just to review them. Really, really beautiful, visually intriguing, but I think that they're even more intriguing when you play them. You'll hear some sound samples in a minute. This is the Ohana VK70, and it's inspired by Roy Smeck. He's also known as the Wizard of Strings. He could play everything from mandolin, guitar, ukulele. It has a bell-shaped body and a soprano scaled neck, solid top spruce, mahogany back and sides. It also has sound holes that are reminiscent from an F-hole sound hole shape from a violin or a mandolin, 12 frets on the fingerboard and bridge, rosewood headstock overlay, white ABS cream binding, and Grover geared tuners in the back. It has aquila strings and a solid headstock. The neck scale is a soprano ukulele, but it does require a concert-sized gig bag. Ohana does sell the case separately. Ohana is also known for using Grover geared tuners. Very reputable, made in the USA. They have a great reputation. We also have the Ohana vintage reissue SK-28 soprano ukulele. This ukulele has a figure-8 body shape, but it's a little different because the body is skinnier, more so shaped like a parlor guitar, modeled after a Portuguese-style Nunes Diaz soprano ukulele. It's constructed of premium all-solid mahogany back and sides, 12 frets, rosewood fingerboard and bridge, bone nut and saddle, period correct Goto friction peg tuners, rope style binding and rosette, aquila strings, a vintage satin finish, and the case you can purchase separately. So when I look at these, I feel like that these transport me to a completely different era. And I feel like when I play them, I feel like I'm playing a part of history, but it is with modern construction. The Great Depression provided a gateway for the ukulele because pianos, very expensive. Even guitars were starting to become more and more expensive. But then you have the ukulele, which made things more accessible to people, or just the price point more accessible to people, and made music more accessible to people. These ukuleles are modeled after the first wave of the uke craze between the 1920s and the late 1930s. To add to the momentum, bluegrass music increased in popularity at this time, and the popularity of the ukulele peaked around the 1930s. All things Hawaiian were popular at that time. One could find Hawaiian motifs on knickknacks and even instruments. So Tyler from Hyde Music doesn't have a uke, but he has a guitar from this era that belonged to his great uncle that unfortunately never returned from D-Day at Normandy, but left behind a legacy of music that Tyler carries on. Here's Tyler.
Hi, I'm Tyler at Hyde Music, and this is a 1937 Richter acoustic guitar. This particular model is a 1937, built in February. It was actually bought new by my grandmother's uncle back in the 30s, and it's been in my family's possession for years. So when I started to show interest in guitar, Grandma said, "Oh, I got a guitar in the attic," and she came down with this. So this is what I played my first few lessons on, and I stuck with it. So it's a very nice guitar for as old as it is, but sadly its playing days are over, but that's okay because it still looks great.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, or Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness was bought with Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata. Ain't no passing craze. It means no worries for the rest of your days. It's all problem-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata. I want you to listen to the sustain on this thing. The whole thing vibrates when I play it. I think that's really important because when it is possible to have to have an instrument that does have beautiful sustain and just has some great projection and not have the neck vibrate. But when I play this, the body vibrates, the neck is vibrating. That's really telling because it just seems like everything's firing on all cylinders construction wise, because yeah, for such a small instrument, this really does pack a punch. The other one as well. I'm very impressed with how lightweight this is, and I feel like the construction on this is just very well thought out, because if you have something that's too heavy, if you have something where the bracing is just too much on the inside, it dampens the sound, and it sounds heavy if something is too heavy. So that's why you see a lot of ukuleles and master luthiers that are trying to take away the weight, so to speak, of the instrument so that it's still light and resonant, and so that it can really vibrate and project without falling apart over time, because you just have to have that healthy balance. Other ukulele models, or people that construct or design other models that are a bit heavier, do they have great sustain? Yes, they do. So it really depends upon who's designing it, who's manufacturing it. I'm just saying that all of the design choices right here, they're chosen well. Very, very chosen well. Not only just aesthetically, but just the choice of tone wood, and just everything feels incredibly well balanced and light, and you can really tell by how well this projects. Now, Gotos, I've also seen the micro tuners on a Kanilea and also Bruce Petros ukuleles, and they're very, very tiny. It's a very reputable brand. I think it's really cool that they have these friction tuners. They do have other tuners that you could swap them out with if you're not used to the tension tuners, because the tension tuners are very, very sensitive to tuning, and so you just have to make a micro turn just to adjust the tuning. So let me give an example. That was just touching it. Just like, wait. Yes, and so some people really enjoy that, and some people may find that to be a learning curve. It's just something that you may have to consider. Hyde Music has both tension and Grover geared tuners available for this model, and it'll look more like the headstock of the Vita, where they stick out from the sides rather than be hidden in the back like the Goto. I love how clean this line is, just talking about design-wise again, and then you have the logo in the back. And so it makes people think, wait a minute, how old is that? Is that a vintage? I believe that as consumers, or just as people in general, we like things with stories that have a history to them, and these look like they have something to tell. And I really think that that's something that just intrigues people, and also it just has the iconic sound and the iconic look that you may be looking for. An advantage that I think to these replicas versus perhaps buying vintage is that the price. Of course, the price is going to be so much more expensive if you buy a vintage instrument. I think the most expensive vintage instrument that I've played was a vintage Martin that was pre-war. Solid mahogany, very, very pretty, but it was a bit difficult to play because the neck had just warped a little bit. The sound of the tone of the wood was just impeccable because it was a dried, aged wood, and it was taken care of. So that's amazing. When you have this, you get the aesthetics, you get that iconic sound. I think it sounds really, really beautiful. Depending upon your taste, though, some people may not like how bright this ukulele is, and other people would be like, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So you do have to pick it up, play it, and just judge for yourself whether it's something that you would like. I also think that it's nice that it comes in the sopranino, the even smaller size, and it comes in a concert, which is a size you wouldn't normally find from this era. So if you do want something with a little bit more space in between the frets, as well as maybe more of an extended neck, it does come in concert. I think that these are a great way to round out your ukulele collection, or if you're looking to add to your ukulele collection, something that is a classic piece but yet stands out. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about these two ukuleles. I would love to know your thoughts. That's actually my favorite part of YouTube. It's connecting with you guys. So please leave your comments. I want to know them. And as always, I just want to let you know that you are loved. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.